Hi everyone, it's Alex from Risk Academy. In this video I wanted to talk about the responsibilities of the risk manager or chief risk officer for that matter. And this video is going to be quite controversial because I've been kind of changing my mind along my journey in senior risk roles, and I think where I am right now, I mean it may change in a couple of years depending on what my next CRO role will look like, but my perception and kind of my thinking right now is that risk manager or chief risk officer should really select a very specific scope for risk management within the organization, because even before the risk manager arrived on the scene, the head of health and safety and environment was there either as a single person or as two different people. Historically it was different departments, even now it's kind of HSE and it's branded under one. Head of legal has always owned and been responsible for a lot of compliance and legal risks. Sometimes there's a separate compliance person. Head of security is responsible for all of the physical security, information security. Manager is responsible for the information security risks, and so on and so on and so on. And there's very limited value in terms of what chief risk officer can bring to those areas, because for some of the specific areas, the methodology is actually prescribed by law or local legislation. For example, in health and safety, or in tax risks, or in sanctions, or in compliance risks, most countries have specific legislation that pretty much outlines, either as a code of practice, guidelines, which is used in court, so you have to be pretty close to that methodology, or even prescribed by law, how to identify risks, how to measure risks, how to prioritize risks. The unfortunate reality is that most of those methodologies prescribed by law are actually risk management ones, so they're very immature, very methodologically unsound. Most of them require you to do a heat map, which is kind of no good, which is not a good risk management by any stretch of imagination. So risk manager, the chief risk officer, is kind of in this weird situation where there are pockets of risk management that existed long before the risk manager arrived on the scene, and he can't really do much about that because the methodologies are normally prescribed by the relevant legislations or some sort of standards, or international standards, or local national standards, and so on. And changing this whole separate worlds, the world of environment, the world of taxation, the world of compliance, the world of health and safety, the world of IT and information security, changing these worlds seems like a task too much for a CRO to undertake. And so in my experience, what I've aimed to do, and I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below, because I don't feel comfortable about that, but it does seem not particularly useful to try and change the world and try and change the local legislation just to everybody kind of align with proper scientific, good quantitative risk management. And it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, because I've actually tried in one of the CIS countries. I've actually tried to influence the Ministry of Economics, the Ministry of Finance, State Prosecution Office, try to influence the methodologies they apply to quantifying, or measuring, I should say. Then none of them are quantifying, it's all qualitative rubbish, to measuring risks, with very little success. So these ships all going in separate directions, and trying to catch all of them or align them somehow seems to be not such a fruitful task. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, but what my experience kind of led me to is that there are certain battles in terms of quality of risk management methodology and risk management approach that are worth fighting, and some battles that are just not worth fighting. And what I've decided for myself in my chief risk officer roles and head of risk and insurance roles is that I'm going to focus on specific types of decisions. For example, investment decisions, M&A deals, large transactions, large long-term contracts, insurance purchasing decisions, technology decisions, selection of different raw materials, or comparing different technologies, or comparing different alternatives to the production cycle. So I've tried to kind of steer away from compliance-driven risk management, even though theoretically all of it should come under the umbrella of the chief risk officer, but it just doesn't seem practical or realistic. And so I try to focus on some few risk managements remaining kind of untouched by legislation, which means there's actually an opportunity to do something good about it. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to the Risk Academy channel if you haven't already. Like, and I'll see you in the next video.